Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so forget the overpriced powders and those super exotic berries for just a second. What if I told you the ultimate superfood has probably just been sitting at the bottom of your crisper drawer this whole time? Today, we are going to unpack the hidden, scientifically proven benefits of an incredibly ordinary household vegetable that you've probably walked past in the grocery store literally 1,000 times. Yep, we are talking about the eggplant, or, as it's known in some parts of the world, the brinjal. We're going to peel back the layers on this humble ingredient to show you that it's actually far, far more than just a mushy side dish.
So let's just dive right into the premise here with a question that might honestly sound a little bit crazy at first. Can a common purple vegetable really fight both diabetes and mental stress? I mean, when we think of nutritional powerhouses, our minds usually jump straight to, rare roots or heavily marketed supplements. But what if the key to unlocking dual metabolic and psychological benefits has just been chilling in your refrigerator all along? It sounds like a pretty massive claim, I know, but we actually have the peer-reviewed data to completely back it up.
And we're not just guessing here. A recent 12-week randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial published in the journal Nutrients, which we sourced via Semantic Scholar, explored exactly this. So this isn't folklore or some old wives' tale. This is rigorous, peer-reviewed science looking at how daily ingestion of eggplant can fundamentally improve our physiological and psychological well-being. The researchers basically wanted to see if this everyday veggie could stand up to strict clinical scrutiny, and man, the findings are honestly going to change how you look at your next dinner. All right, let's jump into Section 1, the mighty eggplant. To really understand what makes this ancient ingredient such a powerhouse from a foundational nutrition standpoint, we kind of have to look at its sheer efficiency. For a standard 100-gram serving, you're getting a mere 25 calories and only 6 grams of carbohydrates. I mean, that makes it an incredibly light addition to literally any meal, which is perfect for anyone keeping an eye on their daily intake. But the real magic here lies in the 3 grams of dietary fiber and the 229 milligrams of potassium. It's a low-calorie, nutrient-dense profile that really sets the perfect stage for metabolic health. It packs a major nutritional punch without weighing you down at all.
Moving right along to Section 2, mastering blood sugar.
Because of that unique nutritional makeup we just talked about, the eggplant acts as a sort of secret weapon for metabolic health, especially when we start talking about type 2 diabetes and blood sugar regulation. Now, the absolute crucial point here is the number 15. This is the glycemic index, or GI score, of the eggplant. If you monitor your blood sugar, you already know that the glycemic index measures how quickly a food spikes your glucose levels. Pure glucose sits way up at 100, so a score of 15, that is exceptionally low. This means that instead of causing a sudden, dangerous spike in your blood sugar, the eggplant provides a slow, steady, and super manageable release of energy. But you might be wondering, how does a simple vegetable actually pull that off inside your body? Well, let's walk through the biological play-by-play of what happens the moment you eat an eggplant. Step 1, that rich dietary fiber we talked about earlier hits your digestive tract. Step 2, because fiber isn't easily broken down by the body, it physically slows down your entire digestion process. It essentially slams the brakes on your system. And step 3, because digestion is slowed down, the absorption of sugars into your bloodstream is significantly delayed. So the eggplant is acting like a biological traffic controller, meticulously pacing the release of sugars and completely preventing those rapid glucose spikes and, of course, the exhausting crashes that usually follow. It's just an incredibly efficient metabolic tool.
Which brings us to Section 3, lowering blood pressure.
All right, here is where we reach the scientific climax of this explainer. The clinical trial focused really heavily on cardiovascular health, specifically targeting individuals with normal high blood pressure and grade 1 hypertension. Researchers basically took 100 stressed-out participants with elevated blood pressure and just watched what happened over a 12-week period. Half the group was given capsules containing eggplant powder, while the other half got a simple placebo. By week 4, the group taking the eggplant was already showing measurable drops in their early morning blood pressure. By week 8, diastolic blood pressure saw major, consistent improvements, and by the end of the trial at week 12, there was a highly significant overall reduction in blood pressure across the board. The narrative of the data is super clear here. The longer they took it, the better their hearts responded. Let's actually look at the real-world impact of those 12 weeks. For the participants dealing with grade 1 hypertension, the results were honestly stunning. Their diastolic blood pressure dropped by an average of 7.3 millimeters of mercury, and their systolic blood pressure dropped by 7.6. Keep in mind, this is an entirely natural,
food-based intervention. To see numbers like this drop simply by introducing a vegetable extract is remarkable. It highlights a tangible, measurable relief on the cardiovascular system that you frankly don't typically see outside of pharmaceutical interventions. And when you track the hospital blood pressure over the 12 weeks, a totally distinct separation emerges between the two groups. That downward trend for the folks taking the eggplant powder gives absolute visual confirmation of its hypotensive or blood pressure-lowering effects, especially when you compare it directly to the flat line of the placebo group. It's just a beautiful divergence in the data. But, scientists didn't just want to know that the eggplant worked. They really needed to understand the biological why behind it. Like, what exact mechanism was relaxing these participants' blood vessels?
The answer actually lies in a fascinating compound called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter that is naturally present in surprisingly high amounts within the eggplant. When you eat it, it stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your body's rest and digest mode. By turning that system up, it reciprocally suppresses your sympathetic nervous activity, which is your fight or flight stress response. So the eggplant is literally sending chemical signals to your nervous system, telling your body to calm down, take a breath, and relax those blood vessels. It is a brilliant, entirely natural stress relief switch.
Now moving on to section 4, boosting psychological health. So if this vegetable can suppress our physiological stress response and physically calm our nerves, does it actually affect how we feel mentally? Well, the contrast in psychological states turned out to be the most surprising finding of the entire study. The researchers used something called the POMS-2 test, which is a highly respected, standardized psychological assessment. Over the 12 weeks, the group consuming the eggplant powder showed a marked, measurable decrease in negative states. We're talking confusion, depression, and anger. And at the exact same time, they exhibited an increase in positive states, specifically vigor and friendliness, easily outpacing the placebo group. Just looking at the mood disturbance and confusion scores here, you can see them actively trending downward over the timeline for the eggplant group. It's like the mental fog and agitation literally began to lift. This reveals this incredible dual action benefit. You're protecting your heart by lowering your blood pressure, while simultaneously easing the mental burden of daily stress and anxiety. It's a 2-for-1 benefit from a single natural source, linking gut health, cardiovascular health, and mental well-being all into one neat little package. Let's wrap things up with section 5, eating for your heart. Because look, knowing all this amazing science is only helpful if we actually apply it properly in our own kitchens, right? Improper cooking can actually totally negate these incredible benefits. First, just cut both ends off and slice the eggplant. Now here is a fantastic pro tip. Eggplants are naturally a bit bitter, and their cellular structure makes them act like giant culinary sponges. So apply salt to your raw slices and let them sit for about 30 minutes. This draws out all that bitter moisture. Then, and actually this is absolutely vital, wash the salt off. This specific process collapses the cellular structure just enough so that when you finally cook it, it won't absorb excess oil and become a soggy, greasy mess. Finally, choose healthy cooking methods. Think baking, roasting, or steaming. You really want to avoid deep frying or heavy breading, like you'd find in a traditional eggplant parmesan, so you can keep those calories low and let the natural nutrients and that powerful acetylcholine do their job unhindered. All right, so we've explored the really remarkable science of the eggplant today. We've seen the clinical data proving how its exceptionally low glycemic index and high fiber help master your blood sugar. We've explored the biological mechanism of natural acetylcholine literally lowering blood pressure. And we've seen the undeniable proof that it can actively improve your psychological state. It is a true, scientifically validated superfood hidden in plain sight, right there in your local produce aisle. So the next time you're at the grocery store, are you going to just walk past this purple powerhouse again? Or are you ready to harness its benefits on your plate? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I really hope this sparked a little culinary curiosity for your next meal.